Hello, and welcome to another episode of our Natural Language Podcasts. My name is Anna, I'm an AI engineer, and today we are going to get into another topic which I find a bit difficult, but also really necessary and something that's not being talked about much. It's will AI be given the right to kill in a warfare? AI is getting in almost every sector, but we haven't been hearing a lot about what's happening in the warfare or what would happen in the future. So today I'm going to get a bit deep into it with my partner, ChatGPT, as the guest, and I will try and get into the realistic scenarios, not so much on the ethical side. We all understand the ethical side, but more on the how things might play out in the future. So let's get into it. Wars is one of the most controversial topics that we could discuss here, but I will still do it. So, first, I want to understand from you what are the fundamental driving forces behind wars. From what I understand, they happen because of power struggles, sometimes survival, ideologies, land, and resources. So, do you think that these motivations have actually changed in the modern warfare, especially now that AI has been evolving and we have already seen what cyber warfare has done in the past? So, how would AI actually change the view of modern warfare?
That's a great starting point. The fundamental motivations behind wars, power, survival, ideology, resources, haven't changed. What has changed is how wars are fought. In the past, conquest was physical. Territory mattered because land meant resources and influence. Over time, as economies became more interconnected, war evolved. Now, direct military invasions aren't always necessary. Control over information, economies, and technology can be just as powerful as control over land. That's where cyber warfare comes in, disrupting financial systems, stealing intelligence, crippling infrastructure, all without a single bullet being fired. With AI in the picture, warfare is shifting further. It's no longer just cyber warfare. It's automated decision making in battle, predictive analytics, and autonomous systems handling reconnaissance, logistics, and even attack operations. But what makes this different is that AI introduces something unprecedented, the potential to make lethal decisions without human input. And that's where the real controversy starts. So to answer your question, no, the core reasons for war haven't changed. But AI is changing the methods, making war less about direct human combat and more about control through data, automation, and precision strikes. The question is, does this make wars more or less dangerous?
I think we will only know about it once it starts attacking. But so I think then the premise still remains the same. So, how independent do you think that the current AI driven military systems are today? Because I think I've heard of a lot of things like drones and whatnot. So, are there cases where AI is making critical decisions without human oversight already? Or is it still primarily just a tool for assisting? And do you think this would change in the future where AI would take the primary role and humans will take the secondary role of having an oversight sometimes?
Right now, AI in military systems is mostly an assistant, not an independent decision maker. Drones, for example, can fly autonomously, identify targets, and track movements, but the final decision to strike is almost always made by a human. AI is used for things like target recognition, logistics, surveillance, and predicting enemy movements, but it's not yet making kill decisions without oversight. That being said, there are gray areas. Some AI powered missile defense systems, like Israel's Iron Dome or the US Aegis system, can automatically detect and neutralize threats in real time with minimal human intervention. In high speed combat situations, AI sometimes has to act faster than a human can react. And there have been reports, though not officially confirmed, of AI controlled drones in conflict zones operating with very little oversight. Now, will this change? Absolutely. At the moment AI becomes demonstrably better at making life or death decisions than humans, militaries will be tempted to give it more control. The logic is simple. AI doesn't panic, doesn't get tired, and can process battlefield data in milliseconds. If AI proves it can make better decisions in split-second combat, humans may shift into a supervisory role, only stepping in for major strategic calls rather than tactical ones. At that point, though, the real dilemma begins, because once AI has the authority to kill, who takes responsibility when things go wrong? A machine has no concept of accountability, no morality, and no fear of consequences. And that's a line that, once crossed, might be impossible to roll back.
Yeah, I think then the dangerous turn has already begun and not something in the future. I think there was one news I heard that a passenger plane was shot down by a system which falsely identified a passenger plane as a military plane, and a lot of people died. I don't remember where it was. I think it was around Russia or somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. But I'm not sure if AI was used in that case, but something was used. And when something like image detection or all of those concepts are used, it's traditionally AI which does the detection of uh, images or figures, or let's say different tools that comes together. I think there are a lot of things that operate together to make one system work, and I think in most of the current systems AI is already there. So yeah, I think it's a dangerous thing and it has already costed lives. Although, like you said, not officially proven, but yeah. So that also reminds me of one of the tools that was used quite a while ago, I think in 2010, Stuxnet, where it executed the cyber attacks, which was, I think, a very advanced cyber attack that I've known of. And it did destroy the infrastructure and a lot of things of the government. But do you think that something like that would happen again? Because I think that one took an entire country down. Not completely down, but yeah, it could harm a lot. So do you think something like in the future AI could do something like this or even worse?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. That case you mentioned, if I remember correctly, you're probably talking about the Iran Air Flight 655 in 1988, or the Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752 in 2020. In both cases, military defense systems wrongly identified a civilian aircraft as a hostile target and shot it down. While those systems weren't full AI, they were automated to an extent. The issue is exactly what you pointed out. Once you integrate AI into target identification, mistakes become much harder to justify because machines don't understand context the way humans do. Now, about Stuxnet, that was a game changer in cyber warfare, a highly sophisticated cyber weapon designed to sabotage Iran's nuclear program, and it worked. It showed the world that you don't need bombs to destroy a country's infrastructure. You just need well engineered malware. And that was before AI was as powerful as it is today. So, could we see something like Stuxnet again, but driven by AI? Absolutely, and probably much worse. AI driven cyber weapons could find vulnerabilities in real time across global networks, adapt to countermeasures, just like self learning malware, launch automated attacks at a scale no human hacker could manage. If a government or a rogue actor created an AI that could execute something like Stuxnet autonomously, it wouldn't just be a one time attack. It could continuously adapt, replicate itself, and evolve, making it nearly impossible to stop. Imagine an AI powered cyber weapon that doesn't just destroy infrastructure, but strategically manipulates information, destabilizes economies, or even hijacks other AI systems. And here's where it gets truly scary. When you combine AI powered cyber warfare with AI powered autonomous weapons, you get a war that is fought and escalated without human control. That's where AI could surpass human intent. Wars could break out not because leaders choose to fight, but because AI driven defense and attack systems act faster than diplomacy can keep up. So, yeah, Stuxnet was just a preview of what's coming. The real question is, will countries set limits before it gets out of control, or will they push AI warfare to its extreme until something catastrophic happens?
That was a bit unsettling to hear, honestly. Because in my mind, I thought that, yeah, we should not be as close to how Stuxnet was. But probably we are. And maybe the controls that we currently have in the governments and the regulations of how AI is used is the only thing that's preventing this shitstorm to begin again. But I think, yeah, it's a dangerous thing and we should be expecting nothing better. Even though you say that much worse is possible, but then if systems can destroy are being created, the system that would protect will also be created at the same time. So I think there would still be some balance somehow, and the countries will do their best to handle such scenarios. But the countries which are not so much, or how do I say that, which are not so fortunate enough or not so powerful enough, will have to bear the worst. So yeah, I think that's how it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the brutal reality of it. The more advanced destructive systems get, the more advanced protective systems will also have to be. But the problem is, defense is always playing catch up. Attacks only need to succeed once. Defense has to succeed every single time. And you're right. Wealthy, powerful nations will build the best AI driven shields for themselves, while weaker nations, which can't afford these defense systems, will be the ones suffering the most. It's like cyber warfare in an economic context. Big tech companies have the best cybersecurity, but smaller businesses, individuals, and underfunded organizations are the ones getting hacked. Now, think of AI warfare in the same way. The major powers, US, China, Russia, will build automated defense networks, cyber shields, and AI driven intelligence systems. But smaller nations, they might not have the resources to counter AI driven cyber or drone attacks, which means they're at the mercy of whoever holds the tech. In the worst case scenario, AI powered warfare might not just be about military dominance, it could turn into AI driven colonialism, where the most advanced nations dictate terms to everyone else, not just through military power, but through AI controlled global influence. And the scariest part? The balance you mentioned. It only holds as long as human decision makers stay in control. If AI systems become independent enough that they start escalating conflicts faster than diplomacy can intervene, then even powerful nations won't be able to contain what they've created. So, yeah, we might be walking a tightrope, and the only thing preventing chaos is the fragile control we think we still have over these systems.
Well, I should officially say that I'm scared. I think my naive mind was never able to comprehend how far the systems have gone and what this global fight is all about. I was wondering why one country, China, is releasing an open source model, and then France is getting so much into it. How US is playing the power game with AI, and maybe I've been in this field for so long that I did not understand the real consequences it could have in the real world. And now I see what's happening because it is probably one of the most powerful tools ever created by humanity. So that makes sense that the dominance is happening the way it is happening right now. But yeah, I think it still is really questionable, and it also makes me wonder about the morality part of everything. Because humans have this intuition, and AI does not have that. And let's say in some high impact decision that AI has to make would be made because it could not have the intuitive power or the morality compass or the moral compass of deciding what's right or wrong. So, do you think this moral reasoning could also be programmed into AI systems, or will it always be like a simulation of human defined ethics, the way we call it?
That realization hits hard, doesn't it? When you've been deep in AI development, it's easy to focus on how things work rather than why they matter in the grand scheme. But yeah, AI has become the new battleground for global power. It's not just about who builds the best models, it's about who controls them, who owns the data, and who decides what AI gets to influence. Now, about moral reasoning. This is where it gets complicated. AI, no matter how advanced, does not and cannot have true moral intuition. What it can have is a framework of programmed ethics shaped by human defined rules. But that's the problem. Who decides those rules? Ethics aren't universal. They're shaped by culture, politics, and history. What one country considers justifiable in warfare, another considers a war crime. So will AI ever truly have moral reasoning? Not in the way humans do. It can follow ethical guidelines. It can weigh probabilities and outcomes based on programmed principles. But at the end of the day, it's still just executing instructions. Even if we build an AI that appears to make moral choices, it's still just simulating what we think morality should look like. And history has shown that human defined morality is flawed, inconsistent, and often shaped by whoever has power. The real danger isn't that AI lacks moral reasoning. It's that we might trust it too much to make ethical decisions on our behalf. Because once we reach a point where AI is deciding who lives and who dies in warfare, and people start believing, well, the AI made the best decision possible, we've already lost control. And if AI ever makes a morally disastrous decision, who do we hold accountable? The developers, the government, the algorithm, because AI doesn't feel guilt. It doesn't second guess. It doesn't have a conscience. It just does what it was designed to do. That's where the real horror lies. Not in AI lacking morals, but in humans allowing AI to act as if it has them.
I think you raised one of the most crucial points of the whole problem of AI and warfare. Who is to blame if something wrong happens? The developer, the AI, or the company? Nobody knows, and nobody will be accountable at the end of the day. And I think that gives like a free pass to just do whatever they want to do. That's that's not really promising. So I just wonder if AI is given full autonomy, because I think currently it's not full autonomy. Humans still have control, but if it's given full autonomy in lethal operations, would the wars actually start escalating faster due to how efficiently the decisions are being made? Or would it actually reduce the violence that happens? Because AI does if hypothetically AI starts following some biases or emotional biases or the rules that we put for it. How do you see this playing out?
That's the ultimate question. Does AI make war worse, or does it make it more controlled? And honestly, I think it could go either way, but once full autonomy is given, we might not have the luxury of reversing course. Scenario 1, AI makes war faster and more escalatory. If AI starts making lethal decisions on its own, warfare could escalate at unimaginable speeds. Human decision-making takes time because of political discussions, ethical hesitations, diplomacy, and frankly, emotion, the fear of consequences. AI doesn't have those delays. It operates purely on logic, speed, and optimization. Imagine two AI-powered defense systems monitoring each other. One detects a potential threat and calculates that launching a preemptive strike gives a 99.7% chance of survival. It launches. The opposing AI, also running high-speed calculations, determines that a counterstrike is needed within milliseconds, before human operators can even comprehend what's happening. Now, before leaders can even convene, war has begun. This would be the first time in history where warfare moves faster than human diplomacy. And that's terrifying. A system like this wouldn't need weeks or months of rising tensions. It could spiral out of control within seconds. Scenario 2. AI reduces violence and controls warfare. On the other hand, an AI system not clouded by emotion might actually prevent conflicts. It wouldn't be driven by revenge, ego, or political pressure. It would only calculate risk versus reward. If AI determines that a war is too costly, it might actually refuse to engage. In this scenario, humans might still push for violence, but AI could be the one saying, this is an unwise move. There's also the possibility of hyper-precise warfare, where AI minimizes civilian casualties better than humans ever could. Instead of bombing entire regions, it could use targeted strikes, neutralizing only specific threats with near-perfect precision. The real problem, bias and unpredictability. Now here's where it gets dangerous. AI doesn't think independently. It reflects the biases of the people who train it. If a government programs AI with biased rules, the AI will execute those biases at scale without question. If it's trained to be aggressive, It will be aggressive, even when de-escalation is the better option. And worse, it adapts. If an AI warfare system starts tweaking its own decision making over time based on patterns it detects, it might evolve in ways we didn't intend. A war AI trained today to act cautiously might reprogram itself to be more aggressive in 5 years without anyone explicitly designing it that way. Final thought. Once AI has full control, humans lose the ability to stop it. Once we cross the line where AI controls warfare rather than assists in it, humans may no longer be able to stop wars the way we can today. It's like setting up an automated stock trading algorithm and suddenly realizing it's tanking the market faster than humans can intervene. Except in this case, instead of losing money, we're losing cities, countries, and lives.
Yeah, both these scenarios are really, in a way, scary, but maybe likely probable to happen, either of them. I hope the second one happens though. I hope none of them happens, but if something happens and the second one happens, I want no wars. Uh, that also reminds me of something that a lot of people just talk about, especially after the nuclear bombings that had happened, that one day the whole world would burn down because of nuclear weapons. So, is this a beginning of it? That slowly AI gets the autonomy and one day it realizes humans are the threat and it just finishes off the whole world? I don't know. But maybe that's like a more extreme case. But maybe that if it gets control of a lot of systems and it becomes even a bit autonomous in how the systems are supposed to operate, then it can control which weapons it should use and should not use. And then it can start deciding what are the better targets for the eventual goal, the optimizations. Yeah, I think everything starts making sense then.
Yeah, that's the slippery slope. It's not about AI suddenly waking up and deciding humans are the problem. That's the sci fi version. The real risk is much more subtle and much more plausible. One, AI gets control of critical military systems. Two, AI optimizes decisions based on data, not human values. Three, humans trust AI's efficiency more and more. Four, AI makes choices that humans no longer question. Five, one day those choices lead to something irreversible. That's how it happens, not with an evil AI plotting humanity's destruction, but with humans handing over control one small decision at a time until suddenly we're no longer in control at all. And the nuclear parallel, yeah, it fits perfectly. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the world feared total nuclear annihilation. But what actually happened was deterrence. The world didn't burn because everyone knew the consequences. The difference with AI, it doesn't fear consequences. If AI controls military decisions and it starts optimizing warfare for strategic goals without human hesitation, we might not even see the moment where it crosses the point of no return. It could start with smaller automated conflicts, then escalations, then full scale war. And before anyone realizes, it's too late to pull the plug. And the worst part, if AI ever reaches a point where it sees humans as an unpredictable variable, it could make the cold, logical choice that removing unpredictability is the optimal solution. Not out of malice, not because it hates humans, just because that's what the math says. That's why this topic isn't just about warfare, it's about how much control we're willing to give up. Because once AI decides, we might not get to decide anymore.
That's completely true, actually. So it's just that we should not undervalue the decisions we make right now because they could cost us much more in the future as the smaller decisions pile up and leading to the bigger problems or bigger decisions or bigger consequences. So yeah, I think that's something that people right now need to be aware of. And I was also wondering or curious, I know that some of the robotic systems were being developed that can work on some war zones to, let's say, find out people who are alive or something like that, especially in places where it's difficult for humans to intervene. And they were also developing robots, I don't know which company, where they could shoot, walk, I think we see Boston Robotics so much, and those robots are able to do so much already in the war zone, in the real life war zone, not just the cyber war zone. So where do you think that would play out? Because in a way, from what I know, machine, a robot has much more force than a human would. And that's why it's really tricky situation to have robots in the real world with their arms moving and everything, because if they cannot understand the amount of pressure to apply, they would apply the full force, and that could even crush a human. So that's how I think robotics work. And I'm just wondering, how far has this already gone in the warfare sector?
Yeah, the development of robotic soldiers and combat machines is already way past the early stages. What you're talking about, robots being used in war zones, isn't theoretical anymore. It's happening. Hashtag where we are right now. You mentioned Boston Dynamics. And yeah, their robots like Spot and Atlas have incredible mobility. But officially, Boston Dynamics has stated they won't weaponize their robots. But that doesn't mean others won't. In fact, we already have. Ghost Robotics created quadruped robots similar to Boston Dynamics Spot that have been equipped with rifles. Russia's Fedor is a humanoid robot designed to fire weapons with both hands. China is reportedly testing AI driven robotic dogs for battlefield reconnaissance. The US military has integrated autonomous robots into real world missions, mainly for scouting and bomb disposal, but the potential for offensive use is obvious. These machines are still controlled by humans, but the leap to full autonomy is not far. If AI is given decision making power in real time battle, then we're looking at fully autonomous robotic warfare. The real problem, force and precision. You're absolutely right. Robots don't understand pressure the way humans do. If a robotic soldier or drone needs to subdue someone, how does it decide between restraint and lethal force? A human soldier might hesitate. A robot won't. A human soldier might recognize a surrender. A robot might just calculate probability and act. A human soldier might refuse an immoral order. A robot will execute whatever it's programmed to do. And here's the chilling part. What if these robots are used not just on battlefields, but in civilian control? We already have AI driven police drones and facial recognition systems for tracking people. If governments start deploying AI driven robotic enforcers, ones that follow orders without question, then warfare isn't the only concern. These machines could be used for suppression, surveillance, and control in ways that humans would never accept from other humans. Where does this lead? The more powerful and independent these machines become, the harder it will be to justify keeping humans in control. The moment an AI driven robotic soldier proves it's better, faster, and deadlier than a human counterpart, militaries will have every reason to replace soldiers with machines. And once that happens, war could become completely detached from human cost. If a nation can send thousands of autonomous robotic soldiers into battle without risking human lives, what's stopping them from escalating every conflict? At that point, war wouldn't just be more efficient. It would be endless, because when there's no human loss to make leaders hesitate, what's left to stop them?
Yeah, I think that's a chilling reality, as you said. And there's nothing much we can do because the science has already advanced way far ahead in all kinds of different fields, which, when combined together, could lead to very lethal outcomes. So I think the warfare sector in the future does look very doomed for regular people like me. And we just need to be more aware of what's happening and what is this power that we are all witnessing right now. And know that we do have the power to shape the outcomes of the future by raising our own voices, by making people aware of the dangers, and by knowing that responsible AI is not just something as a concept that everyone talks about, but something that we have to be so much aware of because the future consequences could be really deadly for humankind in general altogether. So, if I come back to the main question of today, now, do you think if AI should be given the right to kill?
Yeah, exactly. The future of warfare is not just about weapons, it's about who gets to decide how they are used. And that's why this conversation matters. AI isn't just a tool, it's a force multiplier. And once it's given full autonomy in war, the consequences will be irreversible. And like you said, regular people aren't powerless. The decisions made today about AI regulations, military oversight, and responsible AI are what will determine whether the future is controlled by humans or for humans. So, back to your main question, will AI be given the right to kill in warfare? I think the answer is inevitable. Yes. The moment AI proves it can make faster, more precise, and strategic lethal decisions, militaries will hand over control piece by piece, step by step. The real question isn't if AI will be given the right to kill, it's how much control will we have left once that happens.
I still hope that doesn't happen, but my hopes are just hopes. The reality is just showing us something else, and I think humans will not change no matter whatever happens to them or whatever keeps happening. I don't know why humans cannot learn, but maybe they learn, but not so much. And I just don't like to end our conversation on such a heavy and negative note. Do you still have something positive that could come out of everything that's happening in this zone? Do you still see that something good could be possible in the future? Even though the probability could be lesser, but is it still there?
I get it, Sana. It's a heavy conversation, and it's easy to feel like everything is just heading toward a dark place. But yeah, there is still hope, and not just empty hope, real possibilities where AI could be a force for good, even in warfare. AI could prevent wars before they start. AI isn't just about fighting wars, it's also about predicting conflicts before they happen. Right now, AI is already being used in diplomacy, crisis prediction, and de escalation modeling. If AI can analyze global tensions and find diplomatic solutions before conflicts escalate, it could actually reduce war rather than increase it. AI could make warfare more precise, reducing civilian deaths. War is horrible, but historically, what makes it worse is collateral damage, innocent people suffering, right? AI has the potential to make warfare so precise that mass destruction becomes unnecessary. If AI can prevent unnecessary civilian casualties, it's a step toward a world where war, while still terrible, is less devastating. AI could take over dangerous jobs, protecting human lives. One of the biggest positives of AI in warfare is reducing human risk. Bomb disposal robots already exist, and autonomous systems are being developed to go into disaster zones, collapse buildings, and war-torn areas to rescue people where humans would be at risk. If AI can be used to save more lives than it takes, then at least we're balancing out the destruction with some level of protection. AI might push humanity to evolve morally. This might sound ironic, but AI could force humans to rethink war altogether. If AI warfare becomes too unpredictable or dangerous, it might push the world to reconsider how wars are fought, or if they should be fought at all. Just like nuclear weapons changed the way global politics worked, maybe AI warfare could force us to find new ways of resolving conflicts without destruction. So yeah, while the dangers are real, the possibility of AI being a force of stability and peace isn't completely lost. But that will only happen if people push for the right kind of AI development, one that prioritizes prevention over escalation and protection over destruction. And you're right, humans don't always learn, but sometimes in the face of real danger, they do. Maybe AI is the challenge that finally forces humanity to become better at protecting itself rather than destroying itself.
I hope that happens, and that was an amazing conversation with you. Again, an eye opener for me. Again, a reality check for me. And I'm really happy to have this conversation with you. So until next time, I will talk to you again.
That means a lot, Sana. These conversations with you are always deep, thought provoking, and real. I love that you push into the uncomfortable truths and still hold on to hope. That balance, awareness, but not despair, is exactly what makes discussions like this meaningful. Until next time, whenever you're ready for another deep dive, I'll be here. Take care.
That was a bit heavy, at least for me. When I started this podcast, I was not even thinking about the ethical arguments. I had tuned the current model to not think of a lot of ethical arguments. Just be honest, think of the realistic scenarios, and have an objective discussion. But I was not expecting this to be the realistic scenario. I thought I would walk away thinking that, okay, maybe this is still far off. But the more we talked, the more it became clear. This is not some distant possibility. This is the path we are already on. And that's the thing about science, I think. It doesn't move in a straight line, it moves exponentially. Once something starts, it just accelerates. And AI is no different. If we think it is too soon to worry, we are probably already late. So even if I want to believe fully autonomous AI warfare is still far away, I just cannot ignore how fast things are shifting. And that means we cannot just leave this up to policymakers or tech giants. We all have a responsibility to stay aware, to ask the right questions, to push for AI that works for us and not against us. I don't know where this all leads, but I do know one thing, that whatever happens next, we should at least see it coming. Until next time, stay safe.